Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It's Sunday. I hope the weekend is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. I hope you enjoyed the football yesterday. Plenty to get stuck into. 3 games yesterday, 3 games today, including, of course, England versus Serbia. Bukayo Saka, Declan Rice and Aaron Ramsdale getting their Euro 2024 campaigns underway. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in today's show. Got lots of questions and comments from you guys as well. Of course, we'll talk about Amadou Onana and the links involving him and Arsenal. But look, there's only one place to start today. And obviously, I recorded yesterday's show, went out in the morning, and within sort of a couple of hours of the show going up, the devastating news was announced that Kevin Campbell had sadly passed away after a short illness. We knew obviously Kevin was very, very ill. That came out a couple of weeks ago, and just the worst possible news arriving yesterday. I didn't get to speak about it in yesterday's show. Lots of you were in the comments yesterday giving your best wishes to Kevin and his family, and I just wanted to have my say on it. Really, I wrote something that went up on my website yesterday about it. I really felt like I needed to say something because it really, really hit me. Like it's, I mean, the outpouring of grief you've seen, not just from Arsenal fans, but football fans and the football community since the news of Kevin's passing came out yesterday, says all that it needs to really be said about the man and how he was viewed and seen within football circles. You just haven't seen a bad word said about him, and there isn't a bad word to say about him. There's obviously that saying, isn't it? Never meet your heroes. Now, Kevin Campbell was a hero of mine. I grew up idolizing Kevin Campbell, standing in the junior gunners section at Highbury, watching Righty Campbell, that partnership of theirs, the friendship of theirs, the smiles, the celebrations after the goals, just everything about them. These 2 guys here who were just clearly absolutely loved playing for Arsenal as a kid growing up, who, dreamt of doing the exact same thing that they were doing. I just couldn't help but idolize them. They were just larger than life type characters, and there was so many memories I have of Kevin. That amazing night at Highbury when we beat PSG 1-0 and in the semi-final of the Cup Winners' Cup, and Kevin scored the winner with that header in front of the clock end. The volley against Crystal Palace. I remember the 7-1 against Sheffield Wednesday when he came on. It was 1-1. Came on like midway through the second half and just turned the game on its head. He made it 2-1 with that shot and turn, absolute thunderbolt into the top corner. And Arsenal went on 1-7-1. Campbell got 2 in that game, and he just transformed the match on its head. He scored in the first ever North London derby I ever went to, 2-0 win against Spurs. I think it was 1990. No, Wrighty scored. It must have been like 92 because Wrighty was there. Wrighty scored the second goal. And just so many memories of him. And he's just an absolute hero. Absolute hero. Just a kid who came through strong as an ox. Absolute razor sharp in front of goal, would just bounce defenders off him all day long, would hold the ball up, would flick it on for the likes of Smudger or Righty or Merce or anyone like that. And just had it all, And when I was growing up and I was going to Highbury and I was reading all the stuff about the youth team, there was always this talk of this kid who was coming through, who was just scoring goal after goal after goal in the youth team. And there was just so much excitement about him. And then he finally came through in like 1990, and we saw him. He scored that goal against Nottingham Forest in front of the North Bank, his first goal for the club. And and he lived the dream. He lived all of our dreams. He came through as an Arsenal player and just absolutely lived the dream. And there's that saying, isn't it? Like I said, never meet your heroes. And he was my hero. And then, I was in that really fortunate position to then get to know Kevin, not very well, but to get to know Kevin in the last few years working in the media. And, I had so many chats with him, whether it be, he came down the pub, we'd sit there, we'd be talking in the pub before games, after games, we'd sit in the press room and have chats. And he was just such a genuinely nice guy. The person you saw on your TV screens in his dicky bow on Sky Sports, talking with that smile on his face, that's exactly what he was like when, off camera. It wasn't a facade or anything like that. It's exactly what he was like. He was just the nicest guy who loved life and loved football. And it's so, so sad what's happened to him so early. There's a picture there of us at the Tolly together, myself and good friend Mike from the Gooners pod, Kevin. And, that's just what he was like. He would give his time to absolutely everyone. He'd come down the pub before games and after games. He'd be swamped by fans, and he'd always give his time to all of them. Selfies, chats, autographs, whatever was asked of him, Kevin would give it. And he was just such a genuinely nice guy. And it's so sad. And all my thoughts with his family and his really, really close friends at this time. It's just life can be really, really cruel, and in this scenario, it's just as cruel as it can possibly be, and it's just really, really sad. So that's I just wanted to add my thoughts and memories on Kevin, just a wonderful, wonderful guy who's taken far too soon, and lots of you have been getting in touch. Here we got they think I'm mad, so so sad to hear about Kevin Campbell, way too young. Nostradamus, rest in peace, KC. Kevin Campbell, gent of a man, on and off the pitch, will be missed heavily throughout the community. We lost a true great today. Take each new day as a blessing, people. We got the one below there, so I can't pronounce the name there. Kai Films, I think, something like that. Kevin Campbell, such a giant on the pitch and equally a gentleman in person. Rest in peace. Jeff says R.I.P. KC. Paul says, I loved Kevin Campbell. Was there anyone better to comment on football? He brought so much joy and a genuine smile to whatever he was doing. A sad, tragic loss, reminding us that this football means very little. We enjoy it, of course, but it's the people and life that should drive us. Premier League money, transfer trophies, even Arsenal is second to what makes it special. Men and players like Super King Kevin Campbell brings pure joy and happiness. Plus, he was one of the very few Arsenal players to win the league, a cup double and a European trophy. God bless you, Kevin. Lovely words there. From Paula, Pauliston 77, Simba says, RIP Kevin Campbell, you'll be sorely missed. Daniel, sending love to the great man, Kevin Campbell, an absolute legend. I hope the club sort out some sort of tribute at the Emirates Cup. I'm sure there'll be a big, big tribute for Kevin at some point. Kuna 72 says, Jesus Christ, I've just heard our former player and all-round diamond geezer, Kevin Campbell, has passed away. I'm absolutely stunned. RIP Super Kevin Campbell, my deepest sympathies to his families and friends. There were so many others I could have brought up as well. So many people just so sad and wanted to express their condolences over the news about Kevin Campbell. If you've got time, head over to my social media. I retweeted it yesterday, but Mike, who's with me in this photo here on the right-hand side from the Gooners pod, has just written an amazing long piece about what Kevin meant to him. And if you've got time to go and read it, I do urge you go over to my Twitter and I retweeted it, or go straight to the Gooners pod Twitter and read it, because it's just worth your time. It's just absolutely brilliant description of what a great, great man Kevin Campbell was. Just rest in peace, Super Kev. Okay, so football-wise, today, sort of the big news, sort of Arsenal sort of transfer news that's been doing the rounds in the last 24 hours or so is obviously involving Amadou Onana, the Everton midfielder, who we know has been linked very, very heavily to Arsenal in the past, and once again being linked heavily with a potential move for Arsenal. Sources up in Liverpool saying that the Arsenal have now sort of officially inquired to Everton about Onana this summer. Seems like Everton would be open for a sale, because we know they've got PSR issues and they need to sell someone. They'd rather sell Onana this summer, who's made it very clear that he would quite like to go, than Gerard Braithwaite, who we know that Manchester United are pushing quite hard to sign at the moment, but are way, way short of Everton's valuation. We know Arsenal are looking for a midfielder. We know they've been interested in Onana in the past, so it ticks a lot of boxes. It makes a lot of sense. I really, really like Amadou Onana. The only thing with me when it comes to Onana being the midfielder that Arsenal really, really go for this summer, if he's the only midfielder that they go for, if this were to happen, is that when you speak to people who have watched more than Onana than I have, there's a monstrous performance in there, as we've seen firsthand, as I saw, and I've spoken about it many, many times before, that game at Goodison, when Everton beat Arsenal 1-0 in Sean Dyche's first game in charge, and Onana put in one of the best midfield performances I've seen from a midfielder in the Premier League. It was just monstrous. It was Vieira-like type performance. So he's got that in him, but then he's also got 5-6 inconsistent performances in him, and that can be frustration. I mean, Sean Dyche sort of ended last season. I don't think he was even a regular under Sean Dyche. So the issue there is, yes, you've got a player who's got all the sort of tools to be an absolute superstar, but you've got to get it out of him and you've got to make him consistent. So he doesn't feel like a midfielder who's going to come in and bang, hit the ground running, improve Arsenal absolutely immediately, week after week after week. And when I look at where Arsenal are right now, and I look at what Arsenal need from their midfielder that they bring in this summer, I kind of feel like you want that ceiling raiser type player. And as much as I like Onana, I'm not 100% convinced that he is the ceiling raiser. I think he's someone who you have to really sort of work with and mold into the type of player that you want. And I mean, there's an argument that that's a good sort of player to sign, someone who's got the potential to go and do that. But I do feel like, as I said, Arsenal need a ready-made central midfielder who's going to come in and you just know what you're going to get from him week after week in the biggest of games, in the Champions League, in the top matches, again, in the Premier League against the likes of City, Liverpool. Is Onana, are you totally confident that Onana will come in and boss that midfield and really help you dominate that midfield, or will he go missing in some of these games? And that's the issue for me. But I really do like him as a player. Like I said, I've seen him produce some excellent. I loved his performance at Wembley for Belgium against England as well in the 2-2 draw fairly recently. I watched that very, very closely because he's a player I always watch when I watch Everton or watch him for Belgium, because he just always catches my eye. So I do like him. And if Arsenal were to sign him, I wouldn't be against it, but I would be slightly concerned if he were to be the only central midfielder to come in this summer. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. As always, please do let me know on what you think about Onana possibly coming to Arsenal this summer. Seems like 50 million seems to be the figure that Everton would entertain. Would that be a decent deal? Is that something you could get on board with? Or are you, like me, a little bit sort of on the fence about whether Arsenal need just a little bit more when it comes to bringing in a big money midfielder this summer? Of course, England in action later on today. Really looking forward to this one as an England fan, obviously. A little bit nervous as well. Don't want to be starting this tournament in a bad way. And the recent performance against Iceland has not exactly sent us into the tournament full of confidence. Declan Rice in action today. Bukayo Saka looks like he is going to start, which is great news. Obviously, he's been out with injury issues, but it feels like he's going to start. All the predicted 11 from the journalists who are over there with the England camp have Saka starting with Foden on the left, Bellingham at 10 and Kane up front. Real opportunity for Saka, I think, this tournament to really lay down a marker. Hopefully he's fully fit and ready to go, because if he is, I think he can be a superstar at this tournament. I've said it before, it made me laugh that people are questioning his place in the team going into it. He's so important for England. When you look at the goals that England have in the squad, there aren't many of them, apart from Harry Kane, of course. And then there's just Saka, who consistently scores for England, really, when he plays. You need him in that team. 100% you need him in that team. And if he's fit, I think he's going to have a really, really strong tournament. If England are going to do anything in this tournament, then Saka's going to have a really big say in it. I really do think that. Declan Rice, of course, you know what you're going to get from Declan. He's in the leadership group now with Gareth Southgate in a sort of four-man leadership group. I think it's Kyle Walker, Harry Kane, Declan Rice, and Jude Bellingham in the leadership group, and he's just takes on huge responsibility for Arsenal and for England. And again, like I said, if Saka's going to have a big say in this tournament, so is Declan Rice if England are going to go very, very far. So yeah, that's a little bit later on today. Jorginho played for Italy last night, produced a real quality performance. Jorginho as well. His stats were absolutely off the charts. I did have them, and I think I've probably now. I think it was 120 passes Jorginho had yesterday. It was proper excellent stuff. I did have the stats, and I managed to lose them. I'm just scrolling through to see if I can find them for you now, which I can't. But it was here we go. 136 touches, most on the pitch. 131 passes, 120 passes completed with a 92% pass accuracy, 2 interceptions, 1 key pass. Just a really dominant performance from Jorginho. Just in that position in the middle of the park, keeping things ticking over. Really exciting game, actually. Albania, fair play to him. What a start that was. But Italy coming back and getting the win. And Jorginho playing the full 90 minutes in that game, doing exactly what he always does when it comes to the centre of midfield. So congratulations to him. Good start for Italy. Hopefully something England can replicate a little bit later on today. Okay, a few questions and comments now before we wrap this up. Peter here says, question for extra time. How many Arsenal players could end up in the team of the tournament? I'm thinking 4. Havertz, Rice, Saka, and possibly Saliba. It's also possible that Trossard and Raya might figure as well. Raya didn't play yesterday. I was surprised in that. Simon played in goal for Spain yesterday in their win. So it looks like Raya's going to have to make do with a place on the bench during the tournament. Look, I don't know. Havertz, I've tipped Havertz to be a star at this tournament. Whether you'd sort of look at it, and the team of the tournament's probably only going to have 1 striker in it because of the way teams play now. You're probably going to have 2 wingers and 1 striker. It'll be a 4-3-3 type formation. So for Havertz to get that 1 striking spot in team of the tournament, he's going to have an amazing tournament. Be golden boot, because you look at the other strikers who are involved in it. It'll be amazing if he does. Fair play to him, but he's had a good start. 1 goal, 1 assist in his first game, so he's certainly on the right track. Saka, I think, could definitely be up there. Saliba looks like he's starting for France, so I'm 100% think he'll be one of the best defenders in there. So yeah, I mean, the four you've listed there, 100%, they've got a really, really good chance of doing it. I think they're probably the most likely candidates when you look at it. Trossard, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a really strong tournament for Belgium as well. I think Belgium a little bit underrated going into this tournament, not quite got the pressure of old on them going into it because the sort of golden generation has passed a little bit now. So I think people may be underrating them a tad, but I think they might have a decent tournament. Belgium and Trossard, you know what he does, scores goals in big games, so he's going to give himself a good chance. But I would say I'm predicting now who's going to be in the team of the tournament from England, from Arsenal. I will say Saliba. Yes, I'm going to go with Saliba, and I'm going with Rice and Saka. I'm not sure about Havertz. I think he's going to have a really good tournament, but I think, it wouldn't surprise me if Mbappe scores 6 goals or something like that in this tournament, and he gets the striking spot in the team of the tournament. Here's one here from Matt. He says, this isn't really related to any conversations in today's video, but I couldn't help myself dreaming about Musiala, Odegaard, Rice midfield after this display versus Scotland. I'm not saying it's happening or ever will, though surely as a club, Arsenal are poised as a top option for Musiala if he ever wanted a new challenge and came to the Premier League. The Arsenal team would be ideal for him, 100%, Matt. Of course, it would be absolutely ideal for him. The good thing is that if Musiala does decide to leave, and there is a chance that something like that is going to happen. He hasn't signed a new contract with Bayern now. He's only got a couple of years left. I mean, he is going to be the most in-demand player there is. It's going to be another sort of killing Mbappe type transfer race, you'd imagine. So if he does become available, if he does make it clear that he's not going to sign a new contract and Bayern do look to cash in on him at some point in the next 12 months or so, every single top club in Europe is going to be lining up to get him. Real Madrid, I mean, he'll fit their project perfectly in terms of the age range and the type of players they're signing. Man City will be all over Musiala. Chelsea, would probably be all over him as well. But the good thing is that Arsenal now, I think, would be in the conversation to sign him, and they would be a very, very appealing place for him to go as well. And I think that says an awful lot about where Arsenal are as a football club right now, is that they probably would be in the conversation to sign him if he was available. Whether they could actually get it over the line, I mean, you would say that Man City and PSG, with the money that they offer, maybe not. I don't think PSG would be. By the sounds of it, it sounds like if he does come from leave Bayern Munich, then the Premier League is where he would be looking to go. But you would probably think, especially if Pep is still there, that Man City would probably be the top one because of what they could offer him. But I still think Arsenal would be in the mix, and that says a lot about where they are right now as a football club. This is one from Stephen, who got in touch over what I was saying yesterday about Elise and why I think Arsenal, I'd love to see Arsenal come in from. I don't really get it. He says, how many goals has Elise scored this season? Not many, not good enough for Arsenal. I don't get that. I think Elise's stat, let me just get them. I think it was last season, he played 19 games because of injury in the Premier League. Yeah, here we go. 19 games in the Premier League, 10 goals, 6 assists. So 16 goal involvements, key goal involvements in 19 games, 10 goals, 6 assists in 19 matches. I mean, that's not bad, Stephen. I'm not sure what more you want from an attacking midfielder than that. So I don't really understand when you say not good enough for Arsenal. That's just, well, it's rubbish, to be honest. Absolute rubbish. He's absolutely good enough for Arsenal. He's absolutely good enough for any of the top clubs in Europe. And that's why he's going to go to one of the top clubs in Europe when he does leave Crystal Palace. And that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. As always, I do appreciate it. Enjoy the football later. If you're going down to the pub or wherever to watch the England game. To the rest of you who aren't watching England, then enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great end to the weekend. Bye-bye.